Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, I'm Anime Octopus. Today, we're diving into a new chapter of our fanfic series. What if Naruko was kidnapped by Iwagakure? Part 2. Disclaimer, the content on this channel is purely for entertainment and discussion. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. Let's jump right in. So, you're the new leader here? A tall figure asked, standing in front of Naruko's bright wooden desk, which had once belonged to someone named Gato. The person was a tall, serious-looking ninja with a kiri headband and a large training sword strapped to her back. She was known as Momochi Zabuza. Next to her stood a quiet child, who looked very much like a girl but preferred to observe rather than speak. "That's right," Naruko said with a confident nod. "And I called you here to let you know that your old contract with Gato is no longer valid." "Wait a minute," Zabuza said, frowning. "I was hired to guard a bridge project. The last attempt didn't go well, but I could try again." "Bridge project?" Naruko asked curiously, tilting her head. "Yes, it's a special bridge in the village," Zabuza replied. "Well, I need it finished safely," Naruko said firmly. "But if you'd like, I can hire you to work with me, not against me." "Work for you?" Zabuza raised an eyebrow. "And what would you have me do?" "I want you to be a leader," Naruko said, rising from her chair. "I recently freed a group of wandering ninjas, and I am planning to organize a team to help protect the villages. You have a reputation for being brave and wise, so I want you to guide our team." "So, you want me to lead a team of ninjas?" Zabuza asked, her expression softening. "Exactly," Naruko said. She walked to the window, looking out at the nearby forest. "I will gather more ninjas, train them, and together we will keep the villages safe. Our mission is not to fight, but to inspire hope and courage in everyone." Zabuza nodded slowly. "That sounds different from what I expected, but good. But don't forget, other villages have their own heroes too. They are friends, not rivals," Naruko said with a smile. "We will work with them to make the world safer." "Are you sure?" Zabuza asked, tilting her head. "Absolutely," Naruko said. "So, will you join me?" Zabuza thought for a moment, then nodded firmly. "All right. I'll work with you." "Wonderful," Naruko said. "You'll be our chief protector, our Mizukage." Zabuza's eyes widened in surprise, but a small smile peeked through. "I didn't think anyone could trust me with that." "You've always wanted to do what's best for the village," Naruko said kindly. "Now you can." Meanwhile, in the quiet Uchiha quarter of Konoha, Uchiha Sasuke sat in his small home. Once, the neighborhood had been lively and full of laughter, but now it was calm, almost too calm. Sasuke had once dreamed of revenge, but now he had learned that protecting the village and helping others was far braver than holding a grudge. So, he spent his days training, practicing his skills, and helping others. Even though he was only 16, he had already become one of the village's finest ninja, always ready to lend a hand where it was needed. One evening, dressed in his black ninja suit and mask, Sasuke stepped onto the rooftops, patrolling the streets to make sure the villagers were safe. Back at Naruko's office, her first assistant, Zombie, arrived with a small crate. "I brought the special supplies, Naruko," Zombie said, opening the crate to show vials of sparkling green liquid. "It will help the ninjas stay strong, but they must use it carefully." Naruko nodded. "Thank you. But we'll make sure everyone uses it responsibly." Zombie tilted her head. "There's also news from Konoha. There's a young hero named Sasuke. He's helping the villagers and keeping the streets safe. He's quite admired." "Then we must be careful," Naruko said thoughtfully. "If we want to spread hope, we must also inspire it by doing what's right." That night, Mitarashi Anko stood in front of the Hokage's desk, ready to receive instructions. "He comes from the village?" she asked. "He does," the Son Daime replied. "And he's been helping uncover mysteries and protecting the villagers. I want you to investigate a new team that has been forming outside the village. Make sure they're helping, not hurting." Anko bowed. "I'll do my best, Hokage-sama." With that, she disappeared in a puff of smoke, leaving the Hokage to gaze out at the peaceful village. "Who are you?" he whispered to the night, though he knew the answer. A new adventure, full of courage, hope, and friendship, was just beginning. And at the heart of it was Naruko, ready to lead with kindness, wisdom, and bravery. Sasuke sat in the archives, sipping a cup of tea with her face mask pulled down. She had a mountain of files to go through. The archives contained records on every villager, past and present, so there were countless pages to sort through. For the last 3 hours, she had been diligently flipping file after file. If there was one thing Sasuke had learned over the years, it was patience. While others might have grown tired or fidgety, Sasuke could continue for 10 more hours if she had to. And judging by the number of files left, she probably would have too. Sasuke said suddenly, picking up a particular file and opening it. Uzumaki Naruko? She murmured to herself as she scanned the pages. Naruko, daughter of Uzumaki Kushina and the Yondaime Hokage, Namikaze Minato. Taken from her home at age 4, under mysterious circumstances. Age 4, Sasuke whispered. What could anyone possibly want with such a small child? If someone had ill intentions, wouldn't it have made more sense to wait until she was older? Sasuke shook her head, her curiosity piqued. Rubbing her eyes, Sasuke took another sip of tea and continued reading Naruko's file. She had lived at Konoha's Heart Orphanage and had begun speaking very clearly at a remarkably young age. She was clever, perceptive, and just about to begin her first lessons in reading and writing when she was taken. There was no doubt she would have grown up to be a brilliant ninja, one that Sasuke would have been proud to call a comrade. The unfairness of it all made Sasuke's heart ache. A bright, promising child taken from her home, it seemed cruel beyond words. And she quietly vowed that one day, she would find out what had happened to Naruko, because someone should care. The next day, in the bustling city of Wave, Bane prepared a new experiment in his lab. He was trying to become stronger, hoping to challenge the best ninjas of the land, but in doing so, he risked overwhelming himself with the strange energy he was experimenting with. Bane believed he needed the extra power to test his limits and learn what he was truly capable of. Bane called Zabuza as he entered with his companion, Haku. Our scouts report that another Konoha ninja has entered Wave, he said. She's asking questions about our activities. She? Bane asked, intrigued. Purple hair, tan trench coat, short skirt, very confident, Zabuza replied. Bane considered this carefully. So, a ninja sent by the Sandaime has come to investigate, Bane said thoughtfully. Bring her to me, I want to learn what she knows. Zabuza nodded, and the two left to follow the visitor. Meanwhile, Anko, an experienced Konoha ninja, was following a lead. Rumor had it that a mysterious new gang had taken over an abandoned treehouse deep in the forest. She moved carefully, aware of the thickening mist around her. 8 paths. Liver, lungs, spine, neck. Brain, kidneys, heart, a voice echoed softly in the fog. Anko froze, gripping her kunai, ready for anything. She had hoped to investigate quietly, but it seemed she had been noticed. A moment later, Haku appeared and gently signaled that Anko was safe. The mist faded, and Anko was quickly brought to a nearby clearing, unharmed but temporarily slowed by Haku's clever techniques. She should be fine for now, Haku said. We just need to make sure Bane learns what he needs from her questions. That evening, in the quiet of his office, the Sandaime Hokage sat at his desk, pondering the day's reports. Sasuke appeared before him, her expression serious. Did you find anything? The Hokage asked. No, Sasuke said, shaking her head. I went through both the ninja and civilian files, but nothing matched the description we have. The Hokage sighed. I had hoped that wasn't the case. But sometimes, people change in ways no record can capture. Sasuke hesitated, then said softly, Hokage-sama, I did find something unusual. A file on Uzumaki Naruko. The Hokage's face grew solemn, his eyes distant with memories. I thought you might. Her story is complicated. Sasuke leaned forward, attentive. When Naruko was born, the Hokage began, our village was attacked by a mighty fox spirit. Her father, unable to defeat it outright, did the only thing he could, he sealed the spirit within his newborn daughter. I hoped this would allow the villagers to see her as more than just a Jinchuriki, as the spirit vessels are called. He paused, a tear glimmering in his eye. It worked to some extent, though she still faced challenges. No child should ever feel alone. And after she was taken? Sasuke asked quietly. We lost the trail in rock country, the Hokage said, shaking his head. No one knows exactly what happened to her. Sasuke felt a determination bloom in her chest. I want to find her, she said. Hokage-sama, may I search for Naruko? The Hokage's gaze was heavy with concern. The risk is great. If you are caught, it could lead to conflict. I cannot allow that. Sasuke nodded, understanding, though her heart ached. I understand, Hokage-sama. I will wait for the right time. With a respectful bow, she vanished from the office, her resolve shining brightly. Somewhere out there, Naruko was waiting, and Sasuke would be ready when the time came to bring her story back to light. Naruko woke up with a gentle nudge to her shoulder, blinking sleepily. She realized she was sitting in a soft, oversized armchair, her hands gently tied with colorful ribbons. Looking around, she noticed the room was dimly lit but smelled faintly of sweet flowers. Standing in front of her was a tall, strong-looking person wearing a bright, playful mask decorated with cheerful patterns. "Hello, Naruko," the masked figure said with a bow. "Do I know you?" Naruko asked, tilting her head curiously. She was always taught to be polite to strangers, no matter how unusual they looked. "Once, maybe," the masked figure replied, folding their arms in a dramatic, exaggerated way. "Now, I am a very different person. I'm guessing you don't know my name yet?" "No," Naruko said, shaking her head. "Should I?" "If you had asked the right questions, or noticed the right hints, you might have," the figure said with a mischievous wink. "Now, what brings you to our little town of Wave?" "Your mother sent me," Naruko said with a playful grin. "She wanted me to let you know that she thinks you've been a little too mischievous lately." The masked figure tilted their head, pretending to be offended. "Mischievous, you say? I prefer creative," they said, striding around the room in a theatrical circle. Naruko giggled. "Well, if it's creativity you're after, you're certainly full of it. But I was sent here for something very important. I need to know your name." The masked figure paused, tapping their chin thoughtfully. "Ah, my name. A curious question. But perhaps I will tell you. If you can solve my little riddle first." Naruko's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I love riddles," she exclaimed. The figure clapped their hands. "Very well. Here it goes. I can fly without wings, I can cry without eyes, I can dance without legs. What am I?" Naruko tapped her chin, thinking carefully. The ribbons around her wrists jingled as she wiggled her fingers in thought. Something that flies, cries, and dances. Oh. Is it the wind?" The figure's mask seemed to smile. "Correct. Very clever, Naruko. You may call me Bane." "Nice to meet you, Bane," Naruko said, bowing politely. "And now I can tell everyone at home that I solved your riddle." Bane chuckled warmly, the sound echoing softly in the flower-scented room. "Indeed. And perhaps, Naruko, you will help me with a little project. Our town has been very quiet lately, and I think it could use a bit of sparkle and fun. Will you help me plan something special for everyone?" Naruko's face lit up. "Of course. I love spreading fun and happiness. What do you have in mind?" "Let's start with decorations, music, and perhaps a small festival," Bane suggested. "We can invite everyone in Wave to join in. With your clever ideas and my unique flair, it will be a day to remember." Naruko nodded eagerly. "This is going to be amazing. And when it's over, I'll report back to my friends about everything we did here." Bane gave a satisfied nod. "Then it's settled. Naruko, let's bring joy back to Wave, one smile at a time." 2 days later, Naruko stood before her teachers, Kakashi and Sakura, beaming with excitement. "The mission was a success," she said proudly. "We made the whole town of Wave smile again. Everyone helped, even Bane. And he taught me a really tricky riddle too." Kakashi raised an eyebrow under his mask, impressed. "Sounds like quite an adventure. Did you learn Bane's name?" Naruko nodded eagerly. "Yes. And now we can invite him to the festival every year." Sakura clapped her hands, smiling. "I'm so glad you're safe, Naruko. And it sounds like you made a new friend." Naruko grinned. "Yes, and I can't wait to share the joy with everyone back home." And with that, Naruko skipped off, her heart full of happiness, ready for her next cheerful adventure. Solid Stone. There was that name again. The Sandaime Hokage sat behind his desk, puffing on his pipe thoughtfully. Sasuke had already left, probably off on one of his usual adventurous patrols. Normally, the Sandaime would spend his evenings worrying about Sasuke, but tonight, someone else occupied his thoughts. Uzumaki Naruko. Had she survived being sent to Solid Stone? If she had, why hadn't she returned now that the prison was gone? Maybe she had forgotten her home? Or maybe something had stopped her from coming back? No, he couldn't think that way. Naruko was an Uzumaki, and they were remarkable at finding their way, even through the trickiest situations. Surely, she had found a way to survive. But what could have happened to her after she was sent away? The sandaime couldn't help the shiver that ran down his spine as he thought about it. Dash. What happened to you, Bane? Anko asked, sitting in Bane's office. She was seated on a chair that two broad-shouldered assistants had carried in. What made you become you? She needed him to talk, to open up. If she showed kindness, maybe he would share his story, and perhaps let her go home safely. I told you that if you knew my story, you might never see your old life the same way, Bane said simply. For someone who looked so imposing, he spoke with sharp intelligence, far beyond what his size suggested. Maybe I don't want to leave? Anko teased with a small grin. Maybe I want to stay and hear your story. Bane paused, then chuckled softly. You're brave, or maybe just curious. Anko shrugged. Worth a try, right? After a few moments of silence, she cleared her throat. Did you need me for something? Yes. I want to know how you feel about Konoha, Bane said, not looking up from the documents before him. Why? Anko asked. Because I want to know if it treats you as kindly as you deserve, Bane replied, finally reaching into his desk. He pulled out a scroll and placed it carefully on the desk. Anko's eyes widened when she saw it. The scroll detailed the responsibilities of Onbu assigned to her, instructions to watch over her carefully. Though it sounded strict, it wasn't cruel. It was a reminder of how much care and attention Konoha had for her safety, even when things seemed mysterious. Konoha has grown complicated, Bane said. But there are still good people here. Sometimes, we just need help finding the light. Anko absorbed his words, thinking of her own experiences and how she had learned to navigate the village's confusing corners. So, you're offering help? Yes, Bane replied. An opportunity to see the world differently. To understand it from another side. You may choose to join me, or you may choose your own path. Either way, you'll see things clearly. When Anko was released from her chair, she was thoughtful. She had learned something important today, not about danger or secrets, but about trust, curiosity, and courage. 3 days later, Uchiha Sasuke hopped from roof to roof. He was not chasing mischief or trouble this time, his mind was on Bane, the mysterious person Anko had described. Why did Bane seem so interested in Konoha? What was his connection to solid stone? All the pieces were there, but they were puzzling and incomplete. Then Sasuke saw her, Naruko. She stood in the middle of a quiet street, arms folded, facing the breeze like she was waiting for someone. Her presence felt like sunshine breaking through clouds. Uchiha Sasuke, I've been looking for you, Bane called softly, stepping into view. He was impressive, but not frightening, there was calm strength in her posture. You must be Bane, Sasuke said, taking a careful step forward. I see Anko-san told you my name. And yes, she kept our location a secret, which I appreciate, Bane replied, smiling faintly. Trust is rare, and it must be earned. Sasuke nodded thoughtfully. And Naruko? Bane's eyes softened as they looked toward the horizon. She is clever, brave. And perhaps the strongest of all Uzumakis. She will find her way, just as we all try to. And for a moment, the world felt still, full of possibilities, friendships, and adventures waiting to be discovered. In that quiet street, two paths crossed, not with conflict, but with curiosity and hope. And somewhere, in the distance, Naruko was preparing her next great adventure, ready to light up the world with her spirit. No, you will be far too busy trying to solve this puzzle to do anything else, I'm afraid, Sasuke-san, Bane said with a sly smile. Then, he turned the dial. A strange green mist started swirling around Bane, and his body shimmered and expanded, not in a scary way, but in a way that made him look more like a giant, gentle guardian. His arms stretched wide, and he seemed ready to challenge anyone who tried to outwit him. Naruko's eyes widened. She had faced many challenges before, but this one felt different. She quickly jumped aside, ducking a playful swipe from Bane. Whoa! He's bigger than I expected, she whispered to herself. And so we begin with underestimation, Bane said, his voice kind but teasing. He raised his hands, forming a curious pattern in the air. Naruko thought fast. She remembered all the clever tricks she had learned during her ninja training. She darted left, then right, using her agility and wits to outmaneuver Bane. Every step she took seemed to bring a new puzzle piece to mind. You see, everyone has something to discover, Bane said, his eyes twinkling as he gestured toward the sky. And when you realize that, Naruko, you can do amazing things. Naruko grinned. Then I guess it's time to discover. She pulled a small tool from her pouch and gently tapped the dial on Bane's device. The green mist swirled faster, then slowed, sparkling like morning dew. Bane clapped, delighted. Very clever, Naruko. You are quick to see what many others miss. Suddenly, a series of bright lights flashed from the village in the distance. Naruko turned, noticing her friends waving frantically. Looks like they need help organizing the festival decorations, she said, determination in her eyes. Bane chuckled warmly. Go. Use your cleverness to bring joy to your village. That is the greatest challenge of all. Naruko took a deep breath and focused. She imagined herself climbing a very tall tower, not a dangerous one, just a tricky one filled with puzzles. Carefully, she stepped along the edges, twisting and turning, moving higher with each smart choice she made. Step by step, she reached the top. From there, she could see all of Konoha, glowing under the afternoon sun, full of life and laughter. Bane looked on, smiling. Your spirit is strong, Naruko. You see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to learn and grow. Naruko waved to him. Thank you, Bane. I'll remember that. Every problem has a solution, and every puzzle makes me stronger. And with that, Naruko ran down from the tower of puzzles, her heart light and her mind sharp, ready to help her friends and make Konoha shine brighter than ever. Meanwhile, Naruko was sitting in the sunlight that streamed through the window of a small, cozy room in the Hidden Leaf Village. Across from her sat Anko, looking a little nervous as she fidgeted with her scarf. Don't worry about feeling unsure, Naruko, Anko said gently. Sometimes we make choices that surprise even ourselves. Naruko tilted her head, her bright eyes sparkling with curiosity. I want to do something meaningful. Something that helps everyone, not just me, she said. Anko smiled softly. That's a wonderful thought, Naruko. You know, real strength isn't about fighting or taking down others. It's about helping people come together, learning from mistakes, and spreading kindness where it's needed most. Naruko's ears perked up. Kindness can be powerful? She asked. More powerful than you think, Anko replied. Even a small act of kindness can make a big difference. Imagine if we helped all the villages learn from one another instead of trying to fight. We could turn rivalry into friendship, confusion into understanding, and fear into laughter. Naruko clapped her hands with excitement. I want to do that. I want to help everyone get along, no matter which village they're from. Anko nodded, her nerves settling as hope filled the room. Then you, Naruko, are about to start something amazing. A journey that will be remembered not for battles or destruction, but for the bridges of friendship you build and the smiles you create. Naruko grinned, standing tall in the warm sunlight. Then I'll do it. I'll travel to every village and show everyone that friendship is stronger than fear. And with that, Naruko's adventure began, not with fire and fear, but with laughter, teamwork, and the bright promise of making the world a gentler, happier place for everyone. Meanwhile, Naruko was visiting a tall, mysterious building at the edge of the village. Inside, a clever inventor named Bane was sitting at his desk, surrounded by stacks of maps and glowing crystals. Across from him, Anko looked a little unsure, shifting in her chair. Don't worry about feeling nervous, Anko, Bane said kindly, his eyes twinkling. Sometimes we need a brave helper to try new ideas. It's not about being perfect, it's about making the world a better place. Anko nodded slowly. I guess. I just don't know if I can help with something so big, she admitted. That's exactly why I asked you here, Bane said, smiling. We're going to build something wonderful together, a plan to help all the villages share their knowledge, their food, and their magic. You'll be part of the team that spreads friendship across the land. Naruko, who had quietly been listening in the corner, bounced up in excitement. Wait, you mean we can bring all the villages together? We can show everyone that they can help each other instead of arguing? Bane nodded. Exactly. Imagine if every village shared what they were best at. Farmers could teach chefs, artists could teach inventors, and everyone could learn from each other. That's the kind of change that lasts forever. Anko's eyes brightened. I think I'd like to try that, she said. Naruko's grin grew wider than ever. Then let's do it. We can travel to every village and show them the magic of teamwork and friendship. No one has to feel alone, and everyone can have fun learning together. Bane chuckled. With you leading the way, Naruko, I think the world is going to be a much happier place. And so, Naruko's new adventure began, not with fear or fire, but with clever ideas, kind hearts, and the promise that friendship can grow in even the most surprising places. Naruko awoke to the soft golden glow of the morning sun spilling through the paper windows of her little room in Hidden Leaf Village. She stretched her arms wide and yawned, feeling the excitement of a new day bubbling inside her. Today was no ordinary day, she could feel it. There was a quiet energy in the air, a gentle hum that seemed to whisper of adventure and discovery. Naruko had always been curious, always eager to explore, to learn, and to find ways to help those around her. She brushed her long, fiery hair out of her face, tied it into a high ponytail, and looked out at the village. Children were already running along the paths, and merchants were opening their stalls, but something tugged at Naruko's heart, a desire to do more than just play or run errands. She wanted to make a difference. After breakfast, Naruko hurried to Bane's workshop at the edge of the village. The building was tall and covered in strange symbols that glimmered faintly in the sunlight, and Naruko had always been fascinated by it. Bane, the clever inventor, was known throughout the village for his curious contraptions, magical maps, and unusual gadgets that sometimes whistled or sparkled without warning. Today, he seemed more excited than usual, pacing behind a desk stacked with scrolls and glowing crystals. "Naruko," he called warmly, his eyes twinkling. "I've been expecting you. I have a very special plan, and I need a brave helper." Naruko's eyes widened. "A plan? For what?" she asked, bouncing on her toes. Bane leaned in closer and lowered his voice, though there was nothing secretive about the kindness in it. "A plan to help not just our village, but all the villages around us. A plan to bring friendship, learning, and happiness where it is needed most." Anko, who was sitting across from Bane, looked a little unsure. She fidgeted with her scarf and glanced at Naruko. "It sounds big." "Too big," she admitted softly. "I don't know if I can really help with something like this." Naruko's eyes lit up with determination. "That's exactly why we need you, Anko," she said. "Even the smallest helper can make the biggest difference. And besides, we'll do it together." Bane nodded. "Exactly. No one can change the world alone. But with teamwork, kindness, and clever thinking, anything is possible. We're going to show everyone that villages don't have to compete, they can learn from each other and grow stronger together." Naruko's heart soared at the thought. She had always loved learning new things and making friends, and the idea of traveling to other villages to share ideas, stories, and games made her feel like she could almost fly. She imagined teaching children how to make lanterns, learning songs from faraway villages, and helping everyone discover the joy of working together. "I want to do it," she exclaimed, spinning in a circle. "I want to help all the villages. I want everyone to be friends." Anko smiled, a little uncertain at first, but slowly, her own excitement grew. I think I'd like to try that too," she said. Bane's eyes sparkled with pride. "Then it is settled. Naruko, you will lead this adventure. You will travel, meet new friends, and bring joy wherever you go. And Anko, you will help guide the way. Together, you will show the world that kindness, creativity, and friendship are the most powerful forces of all." Naruko felt a warm rush of determination and happiness. She couldn't wait to set out on this journey, to see new places, meet new faces, and build bridges of friendship that would last forever. Before leaving the workshop, Bane handed Naruko a small, glowing map that shimmered with moving lights. "This map will show you where your help is needed most," he explained. "It will also give you hints and ideas for solving problems along the way." Naruko took it carefully, feeling the gentle warmth of the magic within it. "I promise I won't let you down," she said, her voice steady and full of hope. "I'll do everything I can to make the world a happier place." And with that, Naruko stepped out of the workshop, ready to begin an adventure that would change her life, and the lives of everyone she met, forever. The morning air was crisp as Naruko ran through the streets of Hidden Leaf Village, her ponytail bouncing with every step. She carried a small satchel filled with notebooks, pencils, and a few of Bane's magical gadgets. Today wasn't about playing or exploring, it was about preparing for the adventure that lay ahead. She visited her neighbors first, offering to help carry groceries, feed the animals, and even tidy up the school garden. Every small act of kindness made her feel more confident, like she was gathering invisible strength for the journey to come. Naruko's first stop was the village market, where colorful stalls overflowed with fresh fruits, fragrant spices, and handmade toys. She greeted each vendor with a bright smile, asking for advice about traveling safely and carrying supplies. One elderly shopkeeper, Mrs. Hanami, handed her a small pouch of herbs. "These will keep you calm on long journeys," she said. "And remember, Naruko, the best part of traveling isn't just seeing new places, it's learning from the people you meet." Naruko nodded, tucking the pouch carefully into her satchel. "Thank you, Mrs. Hanami. I'll remember that," she said, her excitement growing. Next, she visited Bane's workshop to collect a few more gadgets for the trip. There were small lanterns that floated in the air, a compass that glowed when pointing to the nearest friend, and a tiny magical notebook that recorded everything Naruko saw along the way. Bane showed her how each item worked, demonstrating with careful patience while Anko watched from the side. "Remember," Bane said, "these tools can help you, but the real magic comes from your heart, your ideas, and your willingness to help others." Naruko held the lantern close and felt a warm, comforting glow. She knew he was right. No gadget could replace her courage, creativity, and kindness. Once she had everything packed, Naruko returned home to gather a few personal items. She packed her favorite blanket, a small sketchbook for drawing the friends she would meet, and a jar of her favorite cookies, perfect for sharing with new companions. Her parents hugged her tightly, offering gentle reminders to eat well, rest, and always remember her manners. "We're proud of you, Naruko," her mother said softly. "And remember, no matter where you go, your heart will guide you." Naruko felt a flutter of happiness. She was ready, not just to leave, but to bring a little bit of Hidden Leaf Village's warmth and kindness to the wider world. Before setting off, Naruko met Anko near the village gate. Anko carried a small backpack of her own, full of scrolls and helpful supplies. "I can't believe we're really doing this," Anko said, adjusting her scarf. "It feels big." Naruko grinned. "It is big," she agreed, "but that's what makes it exciting. We get to meet new friends, help solve problems, and see things no one else has seen before." Together, they reviewed Bane's magical map, which shimmered and shifted as they watched. Glowing lines traced paths to distant villages, and tiny icons marked places where help was needed. Naruko traced her finger along the map, imagining all the people they would meet and the adventures that awaited. Finally, Naruko and Anko stepped through the village gate, the sunlight warming their faces. Birds chirped in the trees, and the distant laughter of children filled the air. Naruko felt a rush of determination. The path ahead would not always be easy, but she knew that with kindness, cleverness, and friendship, anything was possible. "Let's go, Anko," she said. "There's a whole world out there waiting for us to make it brighter." And with that, the two friends began their first steps toward distant villages, ready to turn curiosity and courage into magic, one smile at a time. After many days of traveling from village to village, Naruko and Anko finally returned to Hidden Leaf Village. Their satchels were lighter, but their hearts were heavier with stories, laughter, and memories. Everywhere they went, they had helped children and villagers share ideas, work together, and see that friendship could bridge even the widest gaps. The magical map Bane had given them had shown them where help was needed most, but Naruko realized something even more important. It wasn't the map that had guided her, it was her heart. As they entered the village, the streets were filled with familiar faces. Parents, children, and friends gathered to greet them, eager to hear tales of the distant villages. Naruko's eyes sparkled as she described the colorful markets, the clever inventions, and the playful games she had learned along the way. Anko chimed in, sharing stories of clever problem-solving and acts of kindness that had changed how people saw one another. The villagers listened, wide-eyed, imagining the world beyond their village walls. That evening, the village held a festival in Naruko's honor. Lanterns swayed in the gentle evening breeze, music filled the air, and tables were covered with foods and treats from every village they had visited. Naruko walked among her friends, sharing cookies, telling jokes, and listening to children sing songs they had learned from faraway lands. She felt a warmth in her chest she had never felt before, a mix of joy, pride, and the deep happiness that comes from knowing she had made a real difference. Bane, standing quietly to the side, smiled as he watched Naruko laugh and play with children from all walks of life. "You've done something extraordinary," he said to Anko. "Not because of any gadget or map, but because of your heart, your courage, and your kindness. Naruko has shown that even the smallest acts of friendship can grow into something that touches everyone." Anko nodded, understanding now what Bane had meant all along. "It's amazing," she said softly. She didn't just help the villages, she brought everyone together. As the stars began to twinkle above the village, Naruko looked up at the sky, holding her glowing magical map. It shimmered softly, as if smiling at her. "We did it, Anko," she said quietly. "We helped the villages become friends, and everyone learned something new. But I think our adventure doesn't have to end here." Anko smiled, placing a hand on Naruko's shoulder. "You're right. There will always be more friends to meet, more stories to share, and more ways to make the world brighter." Naruko's heart swelled with excitement. She knew that this was only the beginning of a lifetime of adventures, where curiosity, kindness, and friendship could change the world in ways she had never imagined. She hugged Anko tightly and looked around at the glowing lanterns, the smiling villagers, and the wide-open sky above. "Then let's promise to keep going," she said. "No matter how far we travel, We'll always carry friendship with us, and show it to everyone we meet. And so, Naruko's journey came full circle, not with battles or fire, but with laughter, learning, and the unshakable power of kindness. Every village she had visited, every person she had met, had become part of a growing web of friendship and understanding. The world felt brighter, safer, and more joyful than it had ever seemed before, all because one brave, curious girl had chosen to lead with her heart. And though the sun set that evening over Hidden Leaf Village, Naruko knew that a new day, and a new adventure, was always just around the corner. Guys, that's all for today. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Your engagement helps us grow and brings more exciting content your way. Thank you for watching and being a part of this journey. Warm regards. Anime Octopus.